同学们好. Today we are going to go through some of the key grammar points that we've learned for the recent topics. So key grammar points that we are going to review today are pronoun and showing possessions, time and dates, Chinese verbs, as well as the use of 是. So the first point about pronouns and showing possessions, actually you can find this on page 102 in your Jinbu textbook. So how does it work and when do I use it? Chinese pronouns are very easy as you only have to learn 3, which are you, me, and I. So 你, 我, and 他. Well, actually for 他, maybe it's not 3 because there will be male 他, female 他, and the object 他. So you only need to learn 3 and then add men to the end to make them plural. So this word men is a plural suffix. So this is actually much easier than having to learn that the plural of I is we. So instead of learning 6 words, you learn 3 and then you learn the plural suffix. So for example, I is 我 and we is add men, so that's 我们. 你 is you and you lot, your plural is 你们, so adding men at the end. 他 or 他, so the plural is they, that will be 他们 adding a men. Some of you may ask, when do you use the male one? When do you use the female one? Actually, so let's just remember, so this is actually not a male radical, this is a person radical. So if you have a mix of male and female third pronoun, you can use the 他们 for mixed of male and female. If you only have female, then you use the female one, 他们, that means the they, but only female people. So to make I into my is very simple too. You just need to add the, that's possession suffix. And then follow it with the appropriate noun. For example, if you want to say my birthday, you first have the word for my, which is 我的, which is just by adding a 的 for the word I, turn into my, 我的, and then you say birthday, 生日. So for 我, I, and if you want to say my, you add the 的 and make it into 我的. For you, 你, and for your, that would be 你的. Equally, for he and she, 他 or 她, then that will be 他的 or 她的 for his and her. For example, 他的爸爸, his dad or her dad. For us is 我们, we, 我们. And for our, you add a 的 after the word 我们, so 我们的. Then for you plural, 你们, and you want to say your, like your or, like 你们的. And then they, for 他们, you add a 的 into their, 他们的. For example, 我们的爱好是打网球. Our hobby is playing tennis. To say our hobby, then you first need to say we, which is 我们. And then you see the possession, someone's, that means ours, that will mean 我们的, and then 爱好 hobby, and then 是打网球. So why is it important? 的 is important in Chinese. This is on the next page 103. 的 is important in Chinese and will crop up again and again in different ways. As its use becomes more complicated, it can cause confusion. So it is important to try to remember and understand each different usage as you meet it. Then it won't change you, then it won't cause you any problems. Things to watch out for. 的 is often omitted where the relationship between the nouns and possessive is close. For example, for family member, your relationship is close, then you don't need to say the. For example, my father is 我爸爸 and my older sister is 我姐姐. Our class is 我们班. This is what we are going to learn next. So to say class is 班. So you don't say my class, you say our class, 我们班. Then when reading, look at the sentence carefully so as not to muddle I, my, he, his, etc. If there is a the after 我 and 他, then it is my and his. However, if there is a verb but no the after 我 or 他, then it means I and he. Beware of jumping to conclusions. So sometimes I can see you make mistakes by adding the into places where it's not necessary. For example, when you say we have, you'll be like 我们的有. However, it's just 我们 we without the the because you're saying we have, not our have. So try it out. Now is the chance for you to get some practice. Read the passage and note down the number of the gaps that need the. Not all of the gaps will need it. 好, you can do it in your book now. 现在写. 好，对答案. Okay, you should have paused and to make sure that you did it yourself. 好，对答案. Now let's check the answers. 拿出绿笔. The first one. 我家有5口人. You don't need the because it's close relationship, my family. 我姐姐是学生. Again, it's close relationship, my family member, my sister. It's 学生 means students. We are going to learn this next. 学生 students. 她会说中文. She can speak Chinese. Now next, 他们班. So this one is it's the class one. Normally in Chinese we say our class, we say the plural. We don't say like singular plural pronoun. We don't say my, we say ours. So the same rule applies for she and he. So that should be 他们班. So their class has 40 students. 有40个学生. So this word is 学生. 他们 You don't need anything here because it's saying they like. 他们喜欢中文，也喜欢学法文。我们 okay, here is saying that 星期四下午3点 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday 有中文课 there are or we have Chinese. So because you are saying we have, so you don't need anything here. It's not my, it's just we, 我们。Then 他们中文老师很好，中文老师 Chinese teacher. So they want to say their Chinese teacher is very nice. So their teacher, normally we will need the. 他们的中文老师很好。Okay, so you can say 我的老师 my teacher, 他们的老师 their teacher. Okay, now next grammar point is about time and dates. So this grammar point is actually on page 110 if you need to find it in your Jinbu textbook. How does it work and when do I use it? So first, telling the time is quite straightforward if you remember that 点 means o'clock and 分 means minute. You can then say 8:25 by saying 8点25分. If you want to say 8:30, then you can use 半 and say 8点半. Days of the week. The days of the week in Chinese are very simple as well. Starting with Monday, you just put the number of the day, like 1, 2, 3, etc. after 星期 week. So 星期二 for Tuesday and so on. The only different one is Sunday, which doesn't use a number. It's 星期日 or 星期天. You use 天 more often when you are talking and you use 日 more in a book or newspaper. This is probably because 天 is easier to pronounce. So when we speak, we say 星期天. But 日 is more formal, so when we write 星期日. month of the year. 月 is a Chinese word for month. You just need to add the right number before 月 to make the month. For example, 1月 for January, 2月 for February, etc. Dates. The day of the month is just a number followed by 日. So 5th April becomes 4月5日. Don't forget that in Chinese, you always say the month first and then the date. This is the time rule, always less specific time to more specific time. So why is it important? It should be on the same page. People talk a lot about times in real life. Also, times and dates are always tested in exams. They are not hard, and if you know how to express times and dates, it will give you confidence when listening in Chinese. Things to watch out for. As with other uses of numbers, it is important to remember 2. If you want to say 2 o'clock, it is 2点. However, remember that Tuesday is always 星期二 and that February is always 2月. So when we introduced the concept changing 2 into 2, a lot of you are thinking that, do I need to change every 2 into 2? No, you only need to change the original number 2 into 2, because for other words like 12, it's already formed as a new word. 12, this is a new word by itself. It is nothing to do with 2, it's just 12. So remember it as a whole word rather than splitting it. So similarly, Tuesday itself is already a word. 星期二, so there's nothing like, it's just how we make words. We coin a word by putting different characters, often characters that we already know that already existing, but it doesn't mean that once we form a word we change things. There is no verb conjugation sort of thing, or no conjugation of words. So words don't change. It's always 星期二 for Tuesday and always 2月 for February. So it's a word, nothing to do with 2. Okay? Now the days of the week are easy. So just to add on, so similarly for number 25, do you think we need to change the 2 here into 2? No, number 25 is a word by itself, 25. Okay, so next point. The days of the week are easy, but 星期 is a difficult word to say. Practice saying it with a friend until you're both confident. So 星期. Remember that the day of the week comes after 星期, so 星期三 Wednesday, but that the number of the month comes before 月. For example, 3月 is March. So I know that the concept for time is not hard to understand. However, very often we found non-native speakers get confused with when they listen for numbers. So this is because most of the number phrases, number words, most of the time words are to do with numbers. So when multiple time words are put together, you will hear a lot of numbers and that could confuse you. So the best way is to practice as much as you can, especially for listening, so that whenever you hear a word like 2月, you just click on that is February without even having to hesitate. That is because you practice a lot. So yes, that is about the time. Next point. We need to try it out. Match the characters in a box with the English below. So for example, Sunday, you just match the characters for Sunday. Okay, you can do the exercise in your book now. 现在写。好，现在对答案。Now let's check the answers. The first one, Sunday is 1, 星期日。2 is 1月5日 which is C, 1月5日。And 3, 10 past 2, 2点10分。4, half past 10, 10点半10点半 is A. 5 Friday 星期五 B. 6 10 to 7. So we didn't learn how to say 10 to, like 5 to, this kind of thing, because the structure is a little bit complicated. So we want to make sure that you master the normal way, like the normal structure of like exact time. So we need to first convert this time into 6:50, and then we will find 6:50 is D. 6点50分。好 7 10月31日 G. And 8 is Tuesday 星期二。Okay, that's it. 答对了吗？全对 I hope. Next, you need to read the paragraph and note down the times and the lessons in English. So you can do things like time as a column on the left and the lessons on the right. You can write it in your exercise book. 现在写。好，对答案 Let's check the answers. So 今天是星期五 Today is Friday. 我有5节课 I have 5 lessons. 节 is the measure word for lesson. Measure word for lessons. 上午9点 in the morning 9 o'clock. So 9 a.m. is 英文课 English. Okay, 10点10分 10:10. So 10 past 10是数学课 Math. 11点半 half past 11是体育课 PE. 下午 in the afternoon 1点20分 1:20是历史课 History. 3点15分 3:15是科学课 It's science. And then 4点15分 4:15我和哥哥有游泳课 We've got swimming lesson, me and my brother. Okay, that's the answers. So now let's look at how does this person introduce their lessons, like the time of the lessons. They actually use the word 是. So you can say first you have the time. So this time is, and then you have the lesson, the subject. So for example, at 11 o'clock is Chinese. Then you just need to say 11点是中文课. So that's the structure to introduce time of the lessons. They've also used this one for 有 have. So my brother and I have swimming at this time 4点15分. In this kind of sentence, 4点15分 works as a time phrase, so it can be before or after the subject 我和哥哥. But here, time works that it is still a time phrase, but it acts as like a subject, not like pronoun, but it's still a time phrase. We don't really say 8 is, like we don't need to say 8. We just say this time is. Okay, so the use of 是can be translated into English as is, am, are, be, being. So you probably have experienced verb conjugations in European language. This is actually the same case in English, but because it's your first language, so you probably wouldn't really realize it until someone pointed out. So the verb to be has to be changed in a lot of European languages, but it doesn't change at all in Chinese. 是 always remain the same. So no matter if you are saying I am a teacher, or you're saying he is a teacher, or you're saying we are a teacher, you use the same verb, which is 是. So in Chinese, basically in all three sentences, it's 我是老师 I am a teacher. 他是老师 he is a teacher. 我们是老师 we are teachers. Okay, so that's the use of 是. Now, create a dialogue with speech bubbles between two people talking about times of lessons of the day. Here I've got an example for you. Imagine that you are doing work, like in your own room or something, and your parents or your sibling came and said, 现在几点? What time is it? Remember, 现在 means now. What's the time now? 现在几点? And you'll be like, 现在11点. It's 11 now. 现在11点. And they might be like, oh, 11点是什么课? What lesson is it for 11? So in English, you may say, what lesson is it for 11? But in Chinese, it's still the same word order, 11点 the time, and is what lesson? Okay, 11点是什么课? 11点是中文课. It's Chinese. Now it's your time to create a dialogue. You can change, you don't have to use the same one. You can change it. For example, you can say, what's the lesson now? How do you say, what's the lesson now? What lesson is it now? Basically, you change the time into now, which is 现在. And then you'll have the same thing for the rest. 现在是什么课? What lesson is it now? And you'll be like, oh, 是中文课. And then they will be like, 12点是什么课? What lesson is it for 12 o'clock? Or you'll be like, oh, 12点是体育课. It's PE for 12 o'clock. Okay, so your time, you can write your dialogue in your book. Okay, 好. I look forward to seeing your dialogues. Last exercise, we need to try it out. Now is the chance for you to get some practice. Try translating the following sentences into English. So I think this bit is about the use of 是 in page 104. If you want to read your book instead of the screen, you can find it there. Okay, so you can write the answers in your book, and you need to pause if you need more time, and because we are going to do the answers now. 好，对答案，拿出绿笔。So the first one, 她是我妈妈. She is my mom. 她是我妈妈. Second one, 他们是我的老师. They are my teacher. 他们是我的老师. Third one, 我们今天下午有英文课. 今天下午 means this afternoon. So we have English lesson this afternoon. Okay, and then 今天晚上 is tonight. So they watch TV tonight. As you can see, the time for Chinese still remain in the same structure when you want to say this afternoon, tonight, this evening, this morning. So you basically first have the less specific time, which is today. First you have the less specific time, which is today. And you kind of zoom in. You zoom in to say, okay, it's about afternoon. 对不起, sorry that this is popping out. So today. And then this is less specific time. And you want to think, okay, afternoon is the most specific time here. So that's afternoon. So for this afternoon, you say today afternoon. 今天下午. So it's the same time word rule, which is from less specific time to more specific time. So for tonight, it's the same rule, which is today first, and you think about more specific time, which is the evening time. So it's tonight. Then that will be 今天晚上. Okay. So it is quite important to master the patterns, to think about and reflect what the patterns are, rather than just just to do exercise without really reflecting on the patterns. So I hope that today's review of the grammar will help you to gain a holistic picture of the grammar points that we've learned so far. 好，同学们再见。